all. So today we're gonna discuss about states. What are the states that Tailwind provide for us to manipulate our CSS accordingly? So below responsive we have over, focus, and other states. So it's like when if you are familiar with CSS, you might heard of over or focus. So these are the very used things and visited. So so these are the similar way, like the way we have used our responsive tags, like MD column or LG column, whatever the thing we have. So these states also use a similar pattern, like focus column, over column, and then the style we need to apply whenever it is hovered or focused. So if you see on this side menu, we have a bunch of states. First one is over, then focus, then active, then group over, group focus, focus within, focus visible, motion safe, motion reduce, disabled, visited, checked, first child, last child, child, event child. So we have these many of like variants to be applied, these many things to be applied. So here let's take this one into Tailwind play and let it run for some time. What's it saying? We haven't, so it hasn't had the entire thing. So let's check it over here. So border transparent, which means so there is no border, so they are resetting the complete border for us. So let's try adding something over here. So they right now they are not adding any border for it, and whenever it's focused they are making outline to none, and then they are adding a ring of two. Ring means they added border over there. So let's check what the ring over here. So if I go to ring, so a ring is nothing but it's a kind of border shadow. So instead of border they are using a shadow to apply a ring. It's a border shadow for circle complete element which we're gonna use, and then whenever it's focused the ring width is 2 and the ring color is purple, and then the border is transparent. So for the elements there is a default border, so which we need to be taken care to make it to be transparent. And then for the button, so the default is purple 600. When they hover it they are changing it to purple 700. So if you see when I hover the button it's changed from 600 to like, so there's slight change in the color. So you can see when I click focus on the input, the outline has been changed to the purple 600. And then when it's focused, you see when I press tab, so when this one is focused it has a ring of purple 600, and it's with some kind of opacity, so they are applying the multiple styles when it's focused. And so next thing, so the simplest thing to be is you can just simply add over, like over column or group over. So group over is a bit different, we'll see, like focus column, over column, active column. So these are applied whenever the thing is active. So when it is pressed, it's went into the active state. So when it is active, it's gonna apply the green color. So let's just do a button over here. We'll discuss in detail. So button, let me add px of 2, py of 2, px 94, and py 2, and then rounded and g text hyphen white, then margin pixel. So this is a basic button. So when I hover to be differentiated, I'm just making it to the red. So you can see when I hover it, it's completely changing to red. And when it is in active state, I'm gonna change it to so let's change it to the active. But it hasn't applied. Let's see why there is some kind of why it hasn't been applied. So when I go back to the default variance in the last reference, so I'm gonna check the background color. So for the background color, so these everything is a variant, focus, over, go over, all the variants. So they need to be enabled for the style to be used. So for the background color, by default, responsive, dark, and group over, focus within, over, and focus. These are the only things which are enabled for us. So now, other than this, anything we declare, for example, right now we used active over here. So there is no style exist for that active thing. So that's the reason it's not applying. So in order to get that thing to be applied, we need to get back to the variants. Here also we still have the same thing like we discussed earlier. We can just directly define it over here, or we can just simply extend those parameters. So I've saved it. Let's take a while for to build. So now you can see the intelligence also take the black color. So when I hover and when it is in the active state, change its color to the black. Clear? And these are applied in this order. So first priority will be taken to the responsive, second will be dark mode, and then group over, then focus. Then so it went into the same order. It will be applied in the same. And again, warning you. So make sure you apply. You extend only which are required, and you also do purging when you are going to the production stage, because once we apply this, it will generate the complete background CSS for that particular variant. So let's back where we are. So we are at active. So now we are clear with active, like how to apply those active. So it's also saying we can just simply do this one. Instead of writing all this, you can just simply extend the background color. So it will be the similar thing. It will just take this active state and add it to the default thing at the last of it. So what's a group of? So you might be having a requirement where if you hover a parent, or if you focus on a parent and you want your child to be changing some text color like that. So in that case, we can just simply use this group over. So you can see over here. So there is a parent class on the card, which you can see the border. So that's a parent thing, which has an indigo 500 of border, and when I'm hovering it, it is turning it into the background to be white, and they're adding a shadow and a border of transparent. Okay. So now padding. So whenever they want, so once it's in white color, they want the text to be in black color or gray color. So what they are doing is, so the only thing we need to do is add a group class named group to a parent, and then we can just simply add group over column to the children, and then add the styles we want to apply. So, and they are warning, so they are mentioned by default group or methods is enabled to the following core plugins. Only these plugins like background color, background opacity, and background color, border color. So these are the only thing which is for the group over is enabled by default. If you want, you can just simply edit in the Tailwind config file for the group over. It will be enabled. It will be automatically building you the CSS file. So this is how the group over. Simply, whenever you over a parent, you want to change something in the child, just simply use the group over. We have group over and group focus. So it's a similar thing. Whenever you focus on it, then it's going to build. Then focus within. Add a focus within to only apply a utility. So add the focus within prefix to only apply utility when a child element has a focus. So focus with also. Okay, so here is the thing. So for example, this is the parent, and whenever this child element has a focus, I want to change something in the parent, right? So for example, I can't focus a div, I can focus an input. So whenever I focused on the input, I want my div, and I want something happen in my div. Like, so for example, I am using an SVG, so I want my SVG color to be changed. So whenever this is focused, I want my change to be, this color to be changed. So we can simply use focus within. So whenever there is a focus available for any child element, then it's gonna apply some styles. That's where the focus within comes. And focus visible. Okay, focus visible is only applied. Visibility is only applied when the user is navigating using his keyboard. Like if you see over here, prefix to apply utility when an element has focus, but only if the user is using the keyboard, right? The mouse focus will be the default focus, and the focus is visible only whenever the user is navigating using the keyboard. But when I focus, nothing happens. But when I use a keyboard, it's happening. Okay, so there is a note for the focus visible. It requires some kind of JS and Post CSS polyfills for the sufficient pauses. So there is a limitation for this. And next thing is motion safe. Add motion safe to only apply utility when prefers reduce motion media future match no preference. So there is some kind of value. For example, this button will only animate on if the user hasn't enabled reduce motion on their systems. So what exactly the reduce motion is? In your system, we will just disable our animations, right? So in that case, the animations won't apply. So if you want, even it's in that state, we want to apply these animations, then we can just simply use motion safe column over. So motion safe is the first key, then it take to the next one, which thing you want to. So first thing is a motion safe, and then over, and then want to apply this time. It's a kind of nested thing. So motion safe column over column, then the style we want to apply. So even we can just hunt it with a responsive SM column, motion safe column, over column, and let's spin like that. And also by default motion shape variant is it isn't ever enabled. So if you want to enable, you can just simply have it in a extend thing, and the motion reduce when it's applied for the reduce. I mean, when it's applied to minimize the animations, I mean, and then disable state in. So what's I mean when it's disabled, what to be done, and when it is enabled, what to be, what's the styles you want to apply, and visited. So unvisited link. It's nothing but whenever we visit a link, the color will be changing. Whenever we don't visit a link, the color will be different. And then checkbox. It's a style you want to apply when it is checked and when it is unchecked and everything. So by default, it's enabled for only few plugins. It's better you just change the default, check the default variants. So if any of these variants isn't applying for your style, you just go through the default variants whether it's enabled or not, and then apply it accordingly. So here is next thing, first column. So this will apply to the first child of it. First child. So whatever the child it will be, the first child you apply the code. The remaining child, if you see, they did a transformation of rotation of 45 degrees for the first child. The remaining one is the same. So also this isn't enabled. We need to be enabled with this one. And the last child, last column, and then the odd child, every odd members, first, third, fifth, like that. And then even child, second, fourth, like that. And then you can just, as we discussed, you can combine it with the responsive designs, SM column, and then the style you want to apply. MD column, hover column, MD column, focus column. Just combine those two like we want. So you can even also generate your custom variants for variants of your own CSS class. Bring them with variants. So they did something called variants group over and focus. So for this variants, they are adding a class color banana. So if you check the output will be like this: dot banana, the color, and then group over, dot group, column over, then the color will run. So this is how the CSS will be generated using the variant. You can just simply do it in the CSS files. Now here we have a CSS, we can just simply add it over here, and then the rest will be taken care of while building the plugin and while building the CSS. So there are also custom variants and all the stuff. So we can just simply modify those in the plugin. We'll just see them in like the latter sections, that in depth of the plugin variants. And then the final section is the default variants. Like what are the default variants applied to each and every plugin we have, core plugins or what are the plugins. So mostly by default, responsive is applied for every plugin, and the remaining are optional for most of the plugins aren't applied. So you need to be checking this very carefully before applying your styles. Thank you.